Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Donna, and I am humbly here trying to help you by sharing my own experiences with my own life. And I wish I'd never had to feel pain or sickness or disease, but today I am so glad that I actually did. For those times of struggles made me seek wellness. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be here. And many years ago, I was not very well. And I found my way to wellness through the most unlikely sources. And it really changed everything for me. And I can go back through my life and see all the troubles that have led me here to talking with you about things that I hope will encourage you and help you find your way to wellness. And so the struggles are okay with me because the struggles turned into wisdom. And wisdom is something that you can use the rest of your life. And it will help those around you. And it will strengthen you and make you the person that you really want to become if you allow it to do so. And so many times throughout my life, I've had little what I call whispers, or little things that were nudging me in the way that I needed to go. And I don't believe that when we seek guidance and we seek wisdom that it comes with loud trumpets or, big, huge billboards. I think it comes in small nudges that are like breadcrumbs that you look for and follow. And I want to share with you some of the things that have happened to me in my life that have led me here. Little guidance things, little things that didn't seem big at the time, but grew into something that really has led me to the life I really want. And it all started on tiny little whispers in my life that I paid attention to. One such whisper came on April 4th, 2010, and I had just started writing my first blog. It was way before I'd written any of my books, and I was scared and afraid that nobody would be interested in what I was writing about. Nobody really knew much about cultured probiotic foods, but I loved them so much they had made me well that I decided I was going to do it anyway. And the more we pay attention to these little nudges that we get and the more we act on them, the more things grow in our lives and the more we get direction and wisdom. And one day, I remember that I was sitting at home and I told my daughter I wrote my first blog. And my daughter Macy said, okay, well, if you're going to write a blog, then you need a Facebook page. And I didn't have one at the time. And she said, if you don't have a Facebook page, nobody's going to find you. And so she quickly made me one, like as fast as a whip, before I could protest. And that was a very pivotal point for me because that's how people found me. One of the very first people who wrote on my Facebook page said this. I'll never forget this. He said, inspire us, please, and do something. And I remember reading that, and I gulped really hard, and my eyes filled up with tears. And I had a huge desire to tell everybody about these cultured foods, but I wasn't really sure how to go about it. And this total stranger who posted on my page really moved my heart and shook me and gave me that nudge I needed. And I really decided that I was going to try to do a really good job, and I just set about doing it and started posting and writing things. And just a few days later, a man named Chris posted on my Facebook page. And he was asking me how to make kombucha. And Chris was young. I think he was in his 20s at the time. And he was seeking answers, and he was friends with my two older kids. And he had heard about making kombucha, and he was trying to figure out how to do it because he had just been diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma cancer. Hodgkin's lymphoma, I believe is what he said. And Chris was an air traffic controller, and he was really looking for ways to help him with his cancer. And what I later learned was that he had been learning how to do codes and website design on the side for a couple of years. And he didn't even know why he was doing it. He was just doing it, but he'd gotten really, really good at it. And about a year later, I asked Chris to help me build my website. I already had a website, but I asked him to help me redesign it and to build a membership site and to make my website look good. And he said it would probably take about, a couple of days and he would show me how to do everything and we should be good. Well, years later, and this has been going on for a long time now, he is now my website manager, works with me full time, and is responsible for the way my site looks and runs and so much more. He is the man. He helps me more than anybody on the planet to really run my business. And he has a lot of talents, and most people don't know it because he's behind the scenes. But rest assured, if you're on my site in some way or another, you're going to be dealing with Chris some way. He answers emails. He helps run the store. He does website. If you've got a problem with the website in any way or membership, Chris is probably who you'll be talking to. I have other people that work with us too, but Chris is the main one. And the most exciting thing about this is today is Chris is cancer free. And he's, a wonderful man and very kind and very much a part of really helping me to be successful with this business. And he doesn't get a lot of credit, but he has really changed my life. And I tease him sometimes. I tell him I can't even make a sandwich without him anymore because I'm constantly texting and calling. And he lives in Kansas City and I'm in California, so we do everything remotely. But if you've been on my website, then you'll see Chris's handiwork all over the place. And it's thrilling to me that him and his family eat tons of cultured foods every day. He was making sourdough bread the other day, and he was trying to talk to him on the phone. His hands were in the dough. Eats a lot of, drinks kombucha, cultured vegetables, kefir, and he knows a lot about these foods because he works with them every day, with me and also with his family. And he's got 4 small children, and they three of them, I believe, grew up on cultured foods, and boy, what a difference it has made in their family's life. And he was right there all along. I didn't even know he was there. And it's been an amazing journey with him. And it was also something that was really, this was really interesting to me because my older kids also knew Chris, but they also had other friends that Chris was a part of too, that they had gone to school for videography. And they had entered a contest to win a commercial for the Nerf, the Nerf balls. And if they won, they would get $10,000 and the commercial would be aired during the Super Bowl. It was a long shot, but they won. They won the prize. They got the $10,000 and they got their thing on the Super Bowl commercial. And they started a business called Sound and Shadow, media production company. And 3 months after they won that, I hired them to do all the videos for my website. And we've become close friends. I've helped their families and friends heal from certain health problems. And they do videography full time now and are thriving at it. Then another thing that happened to me, there was a woman named Jane who contacted me. I think she contacted me on Facebook or on my website and asked if she could help me edit my blogs in exchange for a probiotic membership. And I told her no because I didn't really want just anybody doing this, and it was precious to me, and I didn't know who she was. And you open up your website to somebody, I wanted to know for sure who she was. But I kept seeing her name pop up on Facebook and in my comments on my blog, and I just kept seeing it everywhere. And one night she showed up in my dreams. And my previous editor was wanting to do other things, so she had gone on to do something else. So I contacted Jane and asked her if she would be interested in helping me again. And I hired her, and she edits all my blogs and info, and she is just a trusted and one of the most wonderful friends I have. And she lives in North Carolina, and we have so many people that live all over the place and still work and do stuff with me, and I just love her. She's just absolutely precious, and she was just under the surface a little bit, just like Chris and just like my video guys. They were just right there under the surface, and I just had to pay attention a little bit, and it turned into such a wonderful thing. If you've watched my story video and you know that Cultured Foods found me and they shouted loudly at me, now that was something that did come to me pretty loudly. It was really no whispers this time, but it was more of a knock over the head. But that's okay because I needed their help. I was seeking help because I was so sick. And now I've become their voice. I tell people that I am the spokesman for bacteria because it helped me so much and I love it so much. And I've really lived this life. I mean, a lot of people jumped on the fermented foods wagon, but they don't really know as much about it because they haven't lived it. They haven't been doing it for 17, 18 years like I have, day in, day out. And so it's a good idea to them, but if you really love something and you've lived it and you know the benefits and believe in the benefits and you share it with others, then the people who are looking for the information will find you. That's always been my theory, and that's exactly what happened to me. I have so many of these incidents in my life where little whispers are trying to get my attention. And when I wrote my first self-published book, I self-published my first book. I will never forget this. I wrote my book, and nobody really knew me, but I got a self-publishing company, and it was called Balboa Publishing Company, and I published with them. And they it was great. It was a wonderful experience. I highly recommend Balboa Publishing. But they had little packages you could buy to promote your books. And for some reason, I don't even know what got into me. Well, actually, I do. Okay, well, this sounds crazy. But I had gotten a fortune cookie that day. And on one of this, it had on the fortune cookie a date. And it said, on this date, you'll be asked to do something, and you should do it. It was simpler than that, but it was like, on such and such a day, do the thing that is asked of you, I think is how it was said. And I kind of put it in my desk drawer and didn't think about it. Well, on that day, the self-publishing company called me and said, Donna, I really think you should do this promotion package. And I think it would be a really good idea to promote your book this way. And you would fly to California and you would do a book signing, give away free books and do this book signing. And it was going to cost quite a bit, but not horrible. But it would be a great way to get your name out there. And it was through Hay House, because Hay House was the mother publisher of Balboa. So I went there. I will never forget this. I flew to California, and I lived in Kansas City at the time. And when I walked in there and I saw my book on the desk with all those other published authors, because I had paid to have my book in there, I felt my feet come off the ground. I was so excited. I went upstairs to do the book signing, and people were lined around the door. And I couldn't, to get my book, to get me to sign my book. And so I signed my book, and I came downstairs, and I looked, and I couldn't find my book, and I was just devastated. I thought, oh, yeah, they took it down because I'm a self-published author, and they didn't leave it up. So I went home, and it was just a wonderful experience, but I went home and didn't think much about it. 9 months later, I get a call from Hay House asking me to publish my book. And what I didn't know had happened behind the scenes was that day that I had done that self-publishing and paid to do that free promotion, my book was the smallest book there and the most expensive book there, and it sold out, and it blew their minds that somebody, and they wanted to know who I was. And so then they kind of sent a team on it to investigate whether they should pick me up and ask me to publish their book. And then 9 months later, they did. But what's interesting is during that 9 months, I didn't know any of that was going on, because now I've done 3 books with Hay House and I love them. And what I didn't know during those 9 months is every day I would go jogging or take a walk, and I would pretend that I was a published Hay House author, just for fun in my mind, just for fun. I didn't think it would happen. And 9 months later, that happened. And that was quite a journey for me, because I didn't get an agent to go get my book published. They found me. And I just followed. And literally, I did this crazy promotion because I got a fortune cookie that told me to do it on that day. So who knows? I mean, it was that one little thing changed my entire life. And it was fun, and it was exciting. And I really didn't think it was going to amount to anything. But lo and behold, it did. And everybody gets these whispers, and if you pay attention to them, you get more of them. And you may not be recognizing them. They won't stand out to you unless you start to look for them. And the more you pay attention, the louder they get. And I mean, for instance, why are you listening to this show? If you've been listening for a while, but you haven't jumped in yet, or perhaps you're not ready. And yet that's okay, because I understand that, because I know when you're ready, you'll be ready. And it took me a little while to heed the call for things that I've done in my life. And perhaps the 100 trillion microbes that form the foundation of you are nudging you here, are helping you to find the answers, because that happened to me. I was, if you don't know my story video, I was in a bookstore and I was really sick. And I had a newborn baby that, well, I think she was about 10 months old at the time. And my diabetes had come back and my high blood pressure. I'd had it when I was pregnant and it came back. And I had a preemie that I was taking care of that, I was worried about her gaining weight. And I was just desperate. I felt depressed. I didn't feel good. And I was struggling, and I was just looking for answers. And one day when I was in a health food store, I pulled 2 books off a shelf, and I sat down on the couch to read them it was a health food store. And one of them opened to a page on kefir, and that book was Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. And I opened that book, and thought it was really interesting, this thing, kefir. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was interesting. Well, I picked up the other book, and that book was Donna Gates' Bodycology Diet. And it too opened to a page on kefir. I mean, I just opened the book and there it was. And I jumped because I was like, why would it say that? And right at that moment, a store employee walked by and he said, "That's the most important book you'll ever read. You should pay attention." And then he just walked away. And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know what. I was like, okay, I'm buying both of these books. And I went to the store and found some kefir on a shelf because I didn't know what it was. And I started to drink it. I started to give it to my little girl. And in 3 weeks, Holly was still pretty tiny because she was born 8 weeks early. So she was a preemie. And my husband walked into the room and he was holding Holly. He said, "Donna, Holly's gained 4 pounds." And she had been sleeping through the night and she had this color in her face. And it's a lot for a preemie to gain 4 pounds in that short amount of time. And I started drinking it and making it. And I think it was 3.5 weeks, I remember I was standing at the kitchen doing dishes. And I looked outside the window. And the next thing I know, I found myself in my front yard filling up on my bird feeders. Now, that may not be a big deal to you, but it was a huge deal to me because months before, I didn't give a rip about those birds. I felt so bad they could take care of themselves. I didn't care about the birds because I was too busy trying to survive. But I remember looking at those bird feeders and looking at the grass and hearing the birds sing and thinking, oh my gosh, my whole world has just shifted. I had a sense of well-being that I don't believe I've ever felt in my life. I felt so good, I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I had this feeling of joy. My blood pressure had come way down. My blood sugars had normalized, which really freaked me out. And I knew that it was the kefir, but I didn't know why. I didn't know why it would do that or what had happened. And that started me on this journey to figure it out because it had helped my daughter. It had helped me. And I felt so blessed. I felt so grateful that I decided to figure it out so I could help other people feel what I felt because I know what it's like to feel bad. And I know what it's like to be sick, and I wanted other people to not have to go through that or to find a way out of it. And it was through all of that that I found the wisdom that I, spent years, and I still do, guys. I spend so much time researching things. And now research has kind of caught up with what I've known for the last 17 years. Because in the beginning, there wasn't a lot of research about these probiotic foods. And now there is. And so now I've got, some science to back it up and so many people. I have a Lives Touch page on my site, that people write and tell me. And just this weekend, I got 2 emails. One lady's, her blood pressure dramatically reduced. And so much so that she was able to get off of all of her drugs and medications. Her doctors thrilled and told her to keep doing whatever she's doing. And she, like me, found kefir and cultured vegetables and started changing her diet. And the kefir initially dropped it enough that she noticed it. And so she kept going. And then I got another incredible letter that I asked him if we could share it with other people because it was so incredible. He's been to so many doctors, had so many struggles with so many different ailments, couldn't get rid of candida, had thrush in his mouth, had all kinds of problems that were being caused by, overusing antibiotics and not having enough good bacteria, and all of them, after going to dozens of doctors, is starting to go away. And he's just thrilled, and it's just food. And that's what happened to me. And so I have so many people who write me every week. Sometimes they just bring tears to my eyes because I'm so grateful, guys, that I got sick so that I can help somebody else. I know that sounds like a crazy thing, but really, I mean, thousands of people have gotten better because I got sick and then I found the answer and then I was able to share it. And that's what happens with you too. If you get better, if you find the answer, you help so many other people because everybody's sick, it seems like, and it doesn't have to be that way. Our bodies are these magnificent machines that know how to be well, and we're hindering them because we don't understand. We don't understand how to help them, how to work with them. We get cravings and addictions that keep us from the health that we want because we don't understand how it all works. And I found that through eating these foods that a lot of my cravings for foods went away. I started to feel better, and it made me change my whole life. I mean, I never in a million years wanted to be an author. I mean, guys, I skipped English in high school and paid my sister to do my homework. I mean, it was bad. I was in drama club all the time and music. And I did not want to do any of this. But somewhere hidden down inside of me were treasures that I didn't know existed. And they were covered up by sickness and disease. And I didn't feel good. I didn't have any energy. And when that chain lifted and I felt the doors fling open, I wanted to do everything. I mean, I wanted to write. I love writing now. I hated that when I was a kid. I hated it in high school. And I think the only short story I ever wrote that was any good was about ice cream in the 6th grade. But now I love it. And I love doing so many things that I never in a million years dreamed I would do. And it was all because I started to feel better. And so this is just a small whisper from me. Just consider it like a friendly little nudge. If you start noticing this information in other places, just take heed. Maybe something's trying to get your attention. These probiotic foods that I teach people how to make, kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables. And there's even prebiotic foods. You can even do prebiotic foods, which are foods that are like fertilizer for your microbes. And they're fruits and vegetables, and they make your good bacteria grow like crazy. Things like apples and artichokes and bananas and beans and berries and broccoli and carrots and chicory root and, garlic. Even honey is a prebiotic. Kale, leeks, onions, all these foods that feed our microbiome and help us to get better. When you go to the store, think about feeding the 100 trillion bacteria that's in your body and watch how it changes you from the inside out, because they will grow like crazy because they love the fibers in these foods, and they'll help you get better. And if you'd like to try some kefir, kombucha, or cultured vegetables, now health food stores carry them and you can give them a try. And if you want to make them, you can head over to my site at culturedfoodlife.com. I can teach you how to make them. It's all free on my site. And everything is available for you. And it's pretty easy. You can have kefir in 24 hours. It's basically just putting milk or non-dairy milk in a jar with a culture and letting it sit in your counter for 24 hours, and the next day you got kefir. It's so simple to make. And it's so profoundly changed my life. And these are just some of the little things that helped me find my way here. And I'm so glad I listened to them. And I'm so glad that so many of you have made this a part of your life. And even listening to me, I don't take it for granted that you take time out of your day to listen to me or to read my blogs or my books. I so appreciate it. And I think we're all in this together. I think you have gifts that I need. All these people in my life that work with me to help do what I do here at Cultured Food Life, they all have special gifts that I don't have, and I love that. I love that each one of them does something for me that I can't do for myself. That's what life is all about. Everybody has something for somebody else. This is my contribution to the world because it made me well. It made me happy, guys. It makes me really happy to do this. I mean, I didn't really realize it, but the things in life that make you happy, everybody, thinks possessions or money or that, You know what really makes me happy is helping people. When I get your emails or your Facebook posts or your comments on YouTube or so many, emails to my website, and we get hundreds and hundreds of emails, and we try to answer all of them. It just makes my day because I feel a part of a community in this big world where we're all reaching out to each other and getting better and helping one another with our special and unique gifts. And I thank you for being a part of my life. Even if I don't know you, I still feel it. I hope I have a new class coming up on October 13th. It's at the Green Dragon Tavern. It's such a cool place. It's a museum and tavern. It's beautiful in Carlsbad, California. I would love to see you there if I could. I love meeting the people that come to my class. We make vegetables. We're going to have a gourmet meal. Everybody's going to get a jar of cultured vegetables to take home that you're going to make. We're going to learn kefir, kombucha, water kefir, sour kefir. We're going to learn all those different cultured foods. But the most important thing is I get to hug you and see you and be a part of your life. And it will be a connection that is not only extremely meaningful for me, but I hope will be meaningful for you. And if not, if you need some help, I'm there on my website. It's everything's there you need. And I have so many resources. I'm trying to think of new stuff all the time. And we've got videos and, recipes and classes and ebooks and videos and everything I can think of to do to try to help you, because it's not worth going through life feeling sick. It's too much fun to feel good. Life is a wonderful journey, and I want you to feel good because I know it changed everything for me. Have a wonderful week, and thank you for listening.